What is up, all you GBA type people? This is Tom, and we're here with your Week 9 Pick'em. With me now, not last week.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's McCaddy. Apologies for not being there last week. I had a lot of stuff going on and didn't manage to find a time to record it, but I am back and very disappointed to come back and realise, pointed out by Tom, that actually I've been pipped. Burke is now currently in the lead, which makes me pretty sad, I must admit, after me sort of going on about it all of the time. But I'll be able to find my way back. We'll see.
I believe it. I believe it.
So if we go over the picks from Week 8, if you guys remember, we did have quite a few almost unanimous picks with pretty much every single week. So there isn't a huge amount to discuss, really. We've got, obviously, all of us were correct with the Lars match. Nick versus Tup. Tup ended up winning that one, which caught a lot of us by surprise. And obviously, Tom and also Blue, you guys definitely picked the right one for that one. And yeah.
Yeah, I needed to make a pick, so I'm glad I did. Yeah, so last week, for the most part on point, obviously the only real mess up was Miguel and Shady. But, you know, like we said, no one really expected that one to happen. Damn Jirachi!
Curse you.
But our totals for last week, we have me at 7-1. Woo! Then we have let's see, Burke, Blue, Hank at 6-2, you, Baby Nick, and Kelly at 5-3. Locks of the week are still semi close, I should say. You're at 7-1, 6-2, almost everyone else except Burke and myself at 5-3 and 4-4 respectively. Then finally, the overall records to date. Now, you said it. It looks like we have a clear champion now with Burke, 45-19. You're at 44-20, tied with Kelly. 43-21. It's funny how now we have like a split all the way through four people. 43-21 for Hank, myself, and Baby Nick at 42-22, and then finally 37-27 for good old underdog man Blue.
Yeah, it's really surprising how even after 8 weeks we're still really, really close together. Obviously, Blue being a very slight exception, but for the rest of us, I think there's only, 2 or 3 points between us? Yeah, 3 points between us, which is pretty close, I must admit. Yeah. But we still got quite a few weeks left to go, so hopefully we'll sort of start spreading out from there.
So moving on to this week. Now, you'll see a slight difference in the graphic, as with Kelly not being a part of the power rankings, he'll no longer be picking the games. Obviously, if he can't watch the games to power rank them, he can't watch the games to pick them. So, we'll just be competing amongst us 6 now, so it's, one less loser, so to say.
Okay, so moving on to the John versus Shady match is the first one. This one, I would argue, is possibly the trickiest one for me to call, because I've got a gut feeling this one's going to be very, very close. When I picked it, it could go either way. Obviously, all of these, if you guys haven't noticed, are all rematches from week 1. So they always sort of pose the question, is it going to be the same score or sort of same result, or will the losing coach then pick themselves up and sort of identify ways they could work around that coach, and then from that experience in the first match, come through to get a win and a sort of revenge win, so to speak. So overall this week, I think, is a really hard one to call, really.
So it only seems that Blue is going to be picking against everyone else who's picking John. No real implications here. No one's putting a lock a week on this match. It's just, we're going to go with John. He won week 1, and why not win here again?
So moving on to the next match, we've got Fizz versus Crimson. Basically everyone has gone for Fizz this week, which I can definitely understand. I think overall Fizz has got much better prep. Crimson, he's been doing better, but he's still not impressing me as much as Fizz has. He's starting to use Suicune really, really well, but then they pose the question: is that poorer prep on the opponent's side, or is he actually able to really use it? Use it well. So I think Fizz is going to come in, identify the fact that Suicune's been a pain the last few weeks, and is going to have a plan to try and take that thing on.
Can't help but agree. I think the hot streak that Crimson has created for himself will stop here. It's not for lack of trying, because we have seen him pull off some very well played games these past few weeks. It's just it's Fizz. I think Fizz is just one team that he's going to struggle against, and Fizz is going to win this week. Next up, we have Tup vs. Geo. This is a little more divided. So we have Burke and Blue picking Tup over Geo, and everyone else is kind of on Geo. So in week 1, we saw Geo beat Tup, if I'm correct, right?
Yep, that is correct, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
So, Will, what do you think the difference is this time around?
Okay, so I think Tup's been doing well, especially overall this whole season. He's been really impressing me with how he's picked up and really using his team well, especially that Jellison he's been playing really well as well. But I think Geo's been pulling more surprises, and I think Geo has got a lot of answers to Tup's offense as well. So that's why I feel I've got to go for Geo for this one.
So we have a Lock of the Week implication on the Fizz vs. Crimson match. We have Hank putting his Lock of the Week on Fizz, saying that Crimson is finally starting to find his footing in his team. However, he still hasn't shown off that he's a playoff contender. On the flip side, Fizz has no reason to not be a playoff contender, so I think he'll win. We also have another Lock of the Week on the Tup vs. Geo match with Baby Nick picking Geo, saying, for the short answer, well, it's Geo, that's why. But the long answer, Geo will successfully use Ditto to counteract Tup's attempt to use the Sand Rush drill, pretty much kind of neutralize that as a threat.
That's really interesting, yeah. That's definitely something I hadn't thought of, but that could actually be put to really, really good effect at that battle.
Next up, Real Muril versus Sacramento Sea Kings, Miguel versus Hayden. 2 locks of the week on this match, but we're all going with Miguel. I can't imagine why, Will.
Yeah,
I don't know
know
why everyone's picking Miguel.
I know, it's quite surprising, but my thoughts on this basically were just Hayden, from watching his videos and stuff like that, he just seems to be done, and I think Miguel is going to really want to win, especially after last week. Last week's, hurt him, maybe hurt his pride a little bit, and he really wants to make sure he can get a win for this one. And also, looking back at the first time they battled, Miguel it was almost like surgery, the way he sort of broke apart Hayden's walls and just really, really utilised his mons really well to show that he could just rip apart Hayden's defensive cores. And it was absolutely incredible to see, I must admit. So I've definitely got Miguel down for this one.
Yep, so do I. I have my Lock of the Week on this match. I said that, like you said, Hayden is done competing. He's pretty much going to close out the season playing for fun. And this is Miguel's match to lose. And Burke pretty much agreed what I said. So that's honestly what we have typed there. What Tom said. So
next up we have got Nick versus Nips. We all have Nick down for this one. And well, sort of my views on this is I think Nick's got a better matchup. And just from the way they play, I think viewing the way Nick plays, he seems to view the battle as a whole and seems to have a plan, whereas sometimes for some of Nips' battles, he just seems to be a little bit more sort of turn by turn and not sort of thinking the long game, if that makes sense. So that's my sort of reasoning why I think Nick's got this one. And I think also Nick did end up winning the first one as well, which also is a really good indication of how this match might end up going. So next up, we have got Mulvone versus George, the man with a plan, as I like to say, and it's another unanimous one. We've got everyone down for George's one, and my Lock of the Week for this. As I said, he's the man with a plan, and I've been really impressed with how George has been playing. It was relatively close. It was a 2-0 victory to George, if I remember last time, but I think George is going to definitely make sure he isn't going to miss out on keeping his win lead for this match here, and I think he'd be really keen to try and go 8-1 this season so far, if he can.
It doesn't seem far-fetched for him to get that 8-1, or maybe even lock out the season with 1 loss, maybe 2 losses. Next up, we have Dan versus Lars. Now, this is a rematch that I think Lars wish he could have back, and there you go. He's going to get it back, because we're split on this one. We have 3 teams picking Dan, 3 teams picking Lars. Now, I think either some of the analysts are looking for a team to kind of take on Dan in the most competitive sense, and I think that Lars is a good example. He's a great team prepper and someone who can at least he's had a taste of how Dan plays, so maybe the second time around, he can prep and hopefully win, right?
That definitely does make sense. I was stuck for quite a while trying to work out this one, and I decided best way to go is just to put down winner from last time, and I know it's not the most sort of scientific or the most analytic, but I just was so stuck to try and work out who was going to win this one. And to be honest, I'm not going to be surprised if I get this one wrong.
And we have one lock of the week on this match, so with Blue saying that he thinks that he expects to see some wicked things from Mega Absol. God damn it, Blue! With this, you're like Dan Ravel. He's with the puns. All right, he's all in on Lars this week. I'm just not all in on his puns though. That's
Same.
not okay. Finally, Gubs versus Steve. Two believe in Steve with Burke and Blue. Blue believes in all the underdogs. Good for him. And then everyone else on Gubs. Now, okay, well, let me ask you this question then, Will. Do you think that Gubs has thrown in the towel, or do you think there's going to be some sort of competition between him and Steve?
This is something I was really unsure about. I think this match is definitely going to come down to Gubs' attitude for this. If he obviously throws in the towel, Steve has got a fantastic attitude, and he's going to be really, really hungry for this win. So it comes down to whether Gubs is going to have that sort of, a bad attitude, or whether he's going to want to sort of just make sure that he doesn't lose to Steve for this one as a sort of final nail in the coffin, if that makes sense. And he's just going to put that last final push to try and get a win for this one.
So that's it, guys. That is all of the picks for this week. We will see how all this unfolds on Sunday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave your records from the previous weeks. And if you're caught in this East Coast blizzard, don't freeze and stay warm. And see you on Sunday.
See you guys there.